Why everybody claim they beat my ass?
Boy, that shit look bad, boy.
Man, they need to be clout chasing, bro. You hear me, bro? Why everybody claim they beat my ass? Hey, you heard me?
Huh?
They be clout chasing, bro.
I know that. I'm saying though, like
they trying to block your name, but like.
When not to eat on his birthday, 4 shot, 3 dead in the worst way. He kept dissing on me. What happened? Now he's smoking 23. You always on my mind. Always on my mind. I ride through the
always out of time.
You ready?
Yep. I see you.
I see you.
My niggas.
Jacksonville rapper Charles Jones, known as Julio Foolio, shot and killed in Tampa. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Riley Phillips. The rapper was celebrating his 26th birthday. This happened outside a Holiday Inn. If you could take a look at this video, you can see the bullet holes riddling the front of the windshield of this car. It's unclear if Foolio was in this car when it was shot up.
What you think about Foolio dying, cuz? Hey, screaming rest in peace to him. I'm screaming Kim.
In the heart of Florida lies Jacksonville, a city of bridges, rivers, and beaches. On the surface, it looks like any other southern city. Palm trees swaying, families filling the parks, and kids playing ball in the streets. But behind this calm picture is a much darker reality. Jacksonville has become one of the most dangerous cities in America when it comes to violent crime. Gunshots ring out so often that, for some neighborhoods, it's part of everyday life. Poverty, broken homes, and limited opportunities created a breeding ground where the streets often speak louder than school teachers, and where survival can mean picking sides. It was in these very streets that two crews began to rise, not just as groups of friends, but as rivals locked in a deadly war. On one side, ATK, short for Ace's Top Killers, led by a young rapper named Young Gene Ace. On the other side, KT, short for Kill Them All, tied closely to another rising rapper, Julio Foolio. At first it was music, both sides trying to find their voice in the Florida rap scene. But soon, the music became more than music. It became a weapon. Lyrics turned into threats. Diss tracks turned into disrespect. And disrespect in Jacksonville? That often leads to blood. The feud between ATK and KTA isn't just another rap beef. It's not just about who sells more records or who gets the most views on YouTube. No. This war has claimed real lives. Brothers, cousins, best friends, young men barely old enough to drive, have lost everything because of this conflict. And while the rest of the world discovered Jacksonville drill through viral songs like Who I Smoke and When I See You, the people in these neighborhoods knew the truth. Every name dropped in those songs belonged to someone who died in the streets. This is the story of how it all began. A story of pain, revenge, and music that turned tragedy into fame. A story of ATK versus KTA, the deadly war in Jacksonville. To understand the war between ATK and KTA, you first have to understand the young men at the center of it all. Let's start with Young Gene Ace. Born Kayanta Bullard in 1998, Ace grew up on the west side of Jacksonville. His childhood was far from easy. His father was in prison for most of his life, and his mother struggled to raise him and his brothers in neighborhoods plagued by poverty and crime. Like so many kids in Jacksonville, Ace turned to music as an escape. But the streets were never far away. By his teens, Ace was surrounded by friends and relatives who were already caught up in the cycle of gangs, drugs, and violence. Out of that circle came ATK, short for Ace's Top Killers. The name itself told the world they weren't just a rap crew. It was a statement. They were ready to ride for Ace and to kill for him if necessary. On the other side of the city was another young rapper, Julio Foolio, born Charles Jones in 1998. Foolio came up in a neighborhood called Moncrief, one of Jacksonville's roughest areas. Like Ace, he lost family and friends early to the streets. By 16, Foolio was already making a name for himself in local drill rap, a style that mixes street storytelling with raw, aggressive beats. Foolio's circle was tied to the KTA, short for Kill Them All. This crew was connected with 6 Block, a neighborhood group that had its own long history of conflict with Ace's side. KTA's reputation was just as dangerous as ATK's, and with Foolio rising in rap, they suddenly had a voice to go with their street muscle. Ace and Foolio didn't just represent themselves. They represented entire sections of Jacksonville, and entire groups of young men who had been raised to believe that the streets demanded loyalty, revenge, and respect. At first, their music was mostly about their struggles, pain, poverty, and surviving in Jacksonville. But the streets have a way of dragging you back in. And once blood was spilled, the music would change forever. The feud between ATK and KTA wasn't born in the studio. It was born in tragedy. It was born in the loss of brothers, cousins, and friends. Death would become the fuel for this war, and it would turn Young Gene Ace and Julio Foolio into bitter enemies. In the streets of Jacksonville, respect is everything. And when respect is taken, blood usually follows. For Julio Foolio and his KTA crew, the pain started with the loss of someone very close. Concede that this beef went from bad to deadly with the May 2017 killing of 19-year-old Zion Brown on Jacksonville's west side after a man stormed a home there and shot him to death. Brown was Julio Foolio's cousin. Arrested in that shooting was 19-year-old DeAndre Thomas.
Police make an arrest in a shooting that killed an 18-year-old and injured a teenager and a 9-year-old girl. This happened on the west side at this house on Saturday. The teenager tells News4Jax that her family was woken up about 1:30 in the morning Saturday when a brick came crashing through a sliding glass door in the back of their house.
18-year-old Zion Brown was the only adult in the home, along with 2 teens, a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old boy. Today, police said DeAndre Thomas was the shooter. They charged him with murder.
And though an arrest has been made, the motive still very unclear, and Zion Brown's family saying they're afraid for their lives. And I want to show you here in the backyard that First Coast Crime Stoppers sign, hoping to make an arrest, which has happened, and some of that police crime tape. But the family has since moved out. Police say it was in this home where 18-year-old Zion Brown was shot by 19-year-old DeAndre Thomas. JSO says that they now have found their shooter.
But if Brown's death shook KTA, what happened to Young Gene Ace took things to another level. On June 5, 2018, Ace was out with his brother and friends, celebrating a birthday at Town Center in Jacksonville. It was supposed to be a night of fun, food, laughter, a break from the constant tension of the streets. But on their way home, their car was ambushed. A spray of bullets tore through the vehicle. When the shooting stopped, 3 of Ace's closest people were dead. His brother Trayvon Bullard and his friends Royale Smith Jr. and Jacoby Groover. Ace himself was hit 8 times, barely clinging to life. The news made headlines across Florida. For most of the city, it was another tragedy in a place where shootings had become routine. But for ATK and KTA, it was war. Following the mass shooting, Julio Foolio made several posts on social media glorifying the killings. He even created a t-shirt airbrushed with a photo of Royale Devon Smith Jr., aka 23.
A shooter or shooters on the run after 4 teens are gunned down to the south side. What we're learning about the men killed in a drive-by shooting. 18-year-old Trayvon Bullard, 19-year-old Jacoby Groover, and 18-year-old Royale Smith. They lost their lives late last night.
Police say the shooter followed the 3, along with a 4th survivor, from a restaurant at the St. John's Town Center to the Town Center Parkway, then opened fire. Sheriff Mike Williams says this shooting is gang-related, not an accident.
Yes, you are very correct. As you can see behind me here, the Town Center Parkway is pretty much back to normal, which is a stark difference compared to last night around this time when this entire area was one major crime scene. Now, since then, we have learned a lot about those 4 victims. A family friend of Kenyatta and Trayvon Bullard tells News4Jax that the 2 brothers were out with Royale Smith and Jacoby Groover Tuesday night celebrating Smith's birthday when the celebration turned to tragedy. Police say the men were all riding together in this car on Town Center Parkway when people in another car that pulled up beside them started shooting at them. Kenyatta Bullard, who goes by the nickname Ace, was the only person in the car who survived the attack. A family friend says Kenyatta Bullard is an aspiring rap artist.
The bloodshed continued in January 2019 with another mass shooting, this time outside of Paradise Gentlemen's Club on Bay Meadows Road. Willie Addison, a rapper known as Boss Goon, was killed. He had just performed at the club. He was in the car with family members who were also injured. Family members of ATK rapper Xu were injured in the shooting, including his father, Adbull Robinson, who was shot in the back.
A gunman on the run tonight after a mass shooting in Spring Park leaves 1 person dead, 5 others wounded.
Well, we're learning tonight that moments before that shooting, Addison and 5 others were at an event at Paradise Gentlemen's Club, and they were just leaving that event. They got on I-95. They were in an SUV. They got off of I-95 here at the Emerson exit. They traveled this way about a 1/4 of a mile, and that's where police say, right near that light there is where police say another vehicle pulled up next to that SUV, and people inside that vehicle opened fire. A surveillance camera from Wacko's Gentleman Club captured the moments right before the shooting. Watch as an SUV drives past on Emerson, followed by 2 more vehicles. Then all of a sudden, some of the people standing in the parking lot start walking towards Emerson. This is when witnesses who were outside say they heard the gunfire. An employee here at Wacko's Gentleman Club who didn't want to go on camera says he was outside when the shooting happened. He says he didn't see the incident, but he says he heard what sounded like 2 minutes of continuous gunfire. What he heard was an SUV full of people being shot. 25-year-old Willie Addison is the only victim in Wednesday morning's shooting who died from his injuries.
But ATK was about to strike again on someone close to Foolio. This time they targeted his brother Lil Bibby, who was only 16 years old by the time of his death. On February 2019, Bibby was shot and killed near the Hilltop Village Apartments, a low-income housing complex that had seen more than its share of gunfire. His death devastated Foolio. For him, it wasn't just another statistic, it was family. And it deepened the hatred for ATK, who KTA believed played a role in the killing.
And gunfire erupts inside a Northwest Side apartment complex. It leaves this 16-year-old dead. Neighbors say that the shooting sounded like a war zone.
60 to 70 rounds had to be dropped in the course of maybe 15 seconds.
Sky 4 captured the large crime scene outside the Hilltop Village apartment complex off 45th Street just before 3 this afternoon.
Family members have identified the 16-year-old boy who was shot and killed inside the parking lot of Hilltop apartment complex as Andrian Gaynor Jr. They say he was employed at a local McDonald's, attended school regularly, and was beginning to get on the right track. The person or people responsible for his death has not been captured, which is why we are not identifying neighbors who say they heard what sounded like a plethora of weapons being fired.
It sounded like it was Iraq out here, like multiple guns, like from different guns.
Sounded just like probably an AK-47 or something that would, shoot repeatedly without stopping.
More retaliatory bloodshed followed in January 2020 with the shooting death of Charles Quinton McCormick Jr., a KTA rapper who went by the name of Lil Buck.
Girl, where's Charles? Was it Charles?
It was a frantic call for help, made as bullets tore through a Jacksonville shopping center.
They shot Charles McCormick.
The caller, who can't be identified, told the court Charles McCormick, also known as Lil Buck, had just left her job after being hired. Despite the moment of chaos, the caller caught a glimpse of the alleged shooter.
He has a black mask on, he has on a skull cap, he's running across the parking lot.
I see that vehicle just pop out and it's gunning it.
Minutes later, off-duty JSO Officer Collins, another state witness, testified he saw a silver Nissan speed away from the scene. He followed the car, later identifying a man in all black getting out and possibly holding a rifle. But the defense says neither witness could actually see the shooter's face and questions their descriptions.
Xu celebrated these latest killings by putting the fallen KTA victims on the cover of his album entitled Bibby Out, named for Julio Foolio's little brother. Julio Foolio returned the favor, posting several videos of himself taunting ATK and Young Gene Ace, talking about who I'm smoking, which included Ace's brother and rapper 23. In Jacksonville, there was always someone willing to pull the trigger. The streets were bleeding. And soon the music would too. In rap, diss tracks have always been part of the culture. Tupac had Hit 'Em Up, Nas had Ether. But what happened in Jacksonville was different. The music wasn't just about disrespecting rivals. It was about mocking the dead. After the killings of Bibby, Trayvon, and so many others, the pain on both sides spilled into the booth. What came out would shock not just Jacksonville but the entire rap world. In March of 2021, a group of rappers tied to ATK, Young Gene Ace, Spina Benz, Wappa with the Choppa, and Fast Money Goon, dropped a song called Who I Smoke. On the surface, it sounded almost playful. The beat was sampled from Vanessa Carlton's pop hit 8,000 Miles, a happy, piano-driven song you'd expect to hear in a romantic comedy. But when the lyrics came in, everything changed. Instead of love songs, Ace and his crew started naming their rivals, one after another. Bibby, Techie, and Lil 9, all real people from Foolio's side who had been murdered in Jacksonville's street war. They weren't just mentioned, they were mocked, laughed at, turned into punchlines over a catchy beat. The internet couldn't believe it. The video went viral overnight, racking up millions of views. TikTok dances, memes, reaction videos. Everyone was talking about it. But for the families of the dead, for Foolio and Kade, it was salt in an open wound.
Listen to that smoke. Oh, I smoke.
Foolio wasn't about to stay quiet. Just weeks later, he responded with When I See You. The track borrowed the melody of When I See You by Fantasia, another soft, soulful R&B song. But like Ace, Foolio flipped it on its head. In his version, he taunted Ace about the night of the town center shooting. He mocked Ace for losing his brother and friends. He even rapped from a grave site, making the message crystal clear. This wasn't just music, it was war. The back and forth between Who I Smoke and When I See You turned Jacksonville drill into a global phenomenon. Fans outside of Florida who had never heard of ATK or KTA were suddenly quoting the songs, repeating the names, and diving into the dark story behind them. But here's the thing, for the rappers involved, this wasn't just entertainment. Every lyric was tied to real bloodshed. Every name belonged to a real victim. And the more viral these songs became, the more dangerous the streets of Jacksonville grew. Because in the world of drill rap, mocking the dead isn't just about music. It's about raising the stakes. It's about daring the other side to strike back. The diss tracks didn't just live online. In Jacksonville, words have consequences. And when you turn death into music, you risk creating more death in return. After Who I Smoke and When I See You went viral, the streets grew even hotter. The spotlight was on Jacksonville, and every move these rappers made felt bigger than before. But behind the views, the streams, and the memes, bodies kept dropping. Let's start with Spina Benz. He was one of the rappers who appeared on Who I Smoke, standing shoulder to shoulder with Young Ace. To fans, he became known as the funny, wild energy in the video. But to KTA, he was now a direct enemy. Being on that track painted a target on his back. Then there was Xu, another rapper tied to ATK. Xu wasn't just rapping about the streets, he was living them. Police say he celebrated his kills on Instagram Live, even changing his profile picture to one of his alleged victims. To the authorities, he wasn't just a rapper, he was a walking case file. In 2020, Xu was arrested and charged with 2 separate murders, one of which was the killing of Bibi, Foolio's 16-year-old cousin. To this day, those charges are some of the most high-profile cases in Jacksonville rap history. But while Xu sat behind bars, the violence didn't stop. On Foolio's side, his friends and associates were getting hit too. In one infamous case, Foolio himself was shot at, luckily surviving, escaping with wounds, but the message was clear: nowhere was safe. Not the club, not the car, not even home.
November 2021, you were involved in a shootout in Jacksonville. What happened then? You had 3 guns with you at the time?
2.
2?
I didn't self-defense shootout leaving the studio, but it is what it is. I got in the shootout. They shot at me and I shot back. Yeah.
How are you moving? Like, how security? Like, you always move with security?
Not really. Only when I'm going to shows.
Why is that?
That is how I move. If I'm going to a show, I bring security.
Yeah. Do you know who's shooting at you? Like, why? Like...
No. I don't know.
I don't know. To me, I'm just like, that has to be scary. Like, you know? It doesn't faze you at all, getting shot at?
This is regular. Like, you live 2 different lives. That's regular to me.
No, I hear you. I hear you.
That's just what it is.
As the war dragged on, it wasn't just rappers getting caught in the crossfire. Younger and younger kids started dying. Brothers, nephews, cousins, family members connected by blood, not by music. Each death only deepened the hatred, only made the next retaliation feel more inevitable. And through it all, the music kept documenting the war like a diary of destruction. Every time someone died, the other side would drop a track. Every track would go viral. And every viral hit made the next killing feel like it was just around the corner. Jacksonville had become a place where the studio and the streets were inseparable. The microphone was a weapon. The internet was an amplifier. And the cost was counted in funerals. As the bodies piled up, Jacksonville's streets became impossible to ignore. It wasn't just another city with gang problems anymore, it was a war zone, and the soundtrack of that war was going viral. Every time ATK or KTA dropped a diss track, it wasn't just fans listening. The police were listening too. Detectives, prosecutors, even federal agents began studying the music like evidence. Because in Jacksonville drill, the lyrics weren't just rhymes, they were roadmaps to real crimes. When Young Gene Ace rapped about his losses, police saw it as confirmation of what they already knew from the streets. When Foolio mocked Ace's brother in When I See You, cops saw it as proof of how personal this war had become. And when Xu allegedly turned his Instagram into a trophy case of the dead, law enforcement said they had all they needed to build a case. By 2020, Jacksonville Sheriff's Office and the FBI were tracking both ATK and KTA under gang enhancement laws. Each shooting was no longer seen as an isolated crime. It was evidence in a bigger picture, one that looked more and more like organized crime. And the media noticed too. Local news stations began running nightly segments on the so-called rap beef, tearing apart the city. Headlines weren't just about hip-hop anymore, they were about murder. Families crying on camera. Mothers begging for peace. Police chiefs warning about more blood to come. But despite the news coverage, despite the police attention, the cycle didn't stop. In fact, the spotlight seemed to make the rappers bolder. For some of them, the danger only fueled their fame. On YouTube, videos explaining the ATK versus KTA beef started pulling millions of views. Fans from across the world became obsessed with the story, not realizing that for people in Jacksonville, this wasn't entertainment. It was survival. And as the spotlight grew hotter, rumors of RICO cases began swirling. If prosecutors could prove that ATK or KTA were organized criminal enterprises, they could bring down entire crews at once, just like they did with the mob in New York or gangs in Chicago. For the rappers, that meant every lyric, every Instagram post, every music video could be used against them in court. For their families, it meant another kind of loss. If bullets didn't take their sons, prison bars might. But through all the police raids, indictments, and headlines, the music kept coming. And so did the bodies. Jacksonville was now on the national stage. The world was watching. And the legacy of ATK versus KTA was being written in both lyrics and obituaries. Over the years, the rivalry escalated, leading to multiple shootings and the loss of several lives. Foolio himself had survived previous attempts on his life, but the tension continued to build.
Man, yeah, you've been all over the internet the past week. Crazy situation. Yeah. A lot of people, you know, I had to hit your line. A lot of people, you know, they've been dying to hear from you. A lot of people were concerned. A lot of people were confused. There's so many questions going on, as usual, with your name. But, I mean, we all know you got shot in the foot, you know, last week. And, you know, you don't have to tell us too many details. But, you know, we pretty much know, you know, you were driving, correct?
Yeah, I was driving.
Is this daytime, nighttime?
This shit was like 5, 6 in the morning, probably 6:30, some shit like that.
In the morning. So you didn't go to sleep?
It was still dark. It was still dark.
Wait, 6:30 in the morning?
Yeah.
So, I mean, did you wake up early? Did you not sleep that night?
Nah, I was up. I was up the whole night type shit. My dumb ass, I'm nicking. I wanted to go get a vape from the stove. So I hopped in the car, and I guess I got ambushed. Somebody was waiting on me when I pulled out the driveway and shit. And I saw the car, like I saw a little glimpse of the car. But by the time I got to the stop sign, they hopped out and went to shooting and shit. They shot the car. Then I just went to hitting. I went to driving type shit.
And you're by yourself?
Oh yeah, I was dolo.
And do you think they noticed the car, or when you went into the store, they seen you?
Nah, I ain't even never make it to the store.
Okay, you didn't even get out the car.
Yeah, nah, I walked out the house, got in the car, crunked that bitch up, backed out. By the time I got to the stop sign, I got a glimpse of a car. Like when I got to the corner, they busted up, they went to shooting. And I went to driving type shit. When I went to hearing the shots hitting the car and shit.
On the night of June 23, 2024, Foolio was in Tampa, Florida, celebrating his 26th birthday. After being asked to leave an Airbnb due to overcrowding, he and his entourage checked into the Home 2 Suites Hotel on McKinley Drive. During the party, Foolio hopped on Instagram Live to share his location.
We just got here, bruh. You got the addict. You got to add it, man. Push up. We just got to this bit. Tampa, Florida, man. You already got to add it to the pool party. Push up at 5:30, man. Push up at 5:30, man. We finna get everything right. Push up at 5:30, 6 o'clock, man. It's up. Me drinking, cuz. I don't even drink, cuz. Hold on.
You supposed to have a chaser.
Appreciate everybody popping out for my birthday, you know what I'm saying?
Happy birthday!
Everybody got their socks, put their socks in the air, man. Okay, David. Everybody take that shit on 3, man. 1, 2, 3. Got my brother with me. He done popped out for me for my birthday. He done time with Tampa lit. Oh God, yeah. We came deep and fuck for my birthday, man. Everybody coming out the stairs. Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? We deep as hell. We deep as hell. 20 deep. Lit everywhere we go.
Unbeknownst to him, a group of individuals had been tracking his movements. Surveillance footage shows the suspects following Foolio's vehicle to the hotel. At approximately 4:38 a.m., 3 shooters emerged from a vehicle and opened fire on Foolio's car. Armed with a pistol and 2 rifles, they unleashed a barrage of gunfire, striking Foolio and injuring 3 others. Authorities responded promptly, but the damage was done. Foolio succumbed to his injuries, marking a tragic end to a young life caught in the crossfire of gang violence.
From Foolio's attorney that he was in Tampa celebrating his birthday, been at an Airbnb that they rented. They exceeded occupancy at that Airbnb, which is when they left and went toward the Holiday Inn. And from Tampa Police's report, we know that he was killed there along with 3 other victims who were taken to the hospital for treatment there, and that there were 2 cars that they found with bullet holes as well in that parking lot.
After the passing of Julio Foolio, ATK members including Ace began dissing Foolio on social media, mocking his death. Young Gene Ace even recorded diss songs towards Foolio days after his death.
What you think about Julio dying, cuz? Hey, screaming rest in peace to him, I'm screaming for him.
The chip on my shoulder. Jeff K. Hey, bro, chill with all that, bro. Chill with all that, bro. Bro, tighten up, Jeff.
My bad ass 4-year-old. No. I dare you try it.
Following the shooting, Tampa police, in collaboration with Jacksonville law enforcement, launched an extensive investigation. Surveillance footage, cell phone records, and license plate readers were utilized to track the suspects. Within weeks, 5 individuals were identified and charged in connection with the murder. Alicia Andrews, Isaiah Chance Jr., Sean Gathright, Rashad Murphy, and Davion Murphy were arrested and faced various charges, including first-degree murder. Sean Gathright. Police pulled him over at a Jacksonville shopping center. Inside his car, officers found a Glock 9mm, a rifle, and spent casings. Ballistics testing matched those casings to shell casings from Foolio's ambush and an earlier attempt on Foolio's life. Investigators also found a brass catcher device in his home, a tool used to trap shell casings so shooters don't leave evidence. This tied him directly to the planning and execution of the hit.
We'll talk about it. Keep going, keep going. Turn, now walk back to the sound of my voice. Come on, keep coming, 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 walk back to me.
Alicia Andrews. Andrews wasn't a shooter, she was part of the surveillance team. Court records show she used her phone to ping Foolio's locations, tracking him from the Airbnb pool party to the Home 2 Suites hotel. She was picked up in a Jacksonville raid at a Captiva Bluff Road residence. Cell tower data placed her phone in sync with the convoy of cars shadowing Foolio. She was seen communicating with shooters right before the ambush.
Keep walking, keep walking, keep walking, keep walking. Keep walking. Now turn around. Put your hands behind your back. Is there anybody else inside?
Isaiah Chance Jr., another scout. Investigators say he acted as counter-surveillance, following Foolio's group and relaying movements back to the shooters. Captured alongside Andrews in the same Jacksonville raid. His cell phone data lined up with the hit squad's movements, including surveillance near the Airbnb. He was also linked to ATK members on encrypted social media chats discussing Foolio.
Stop! Turn around. Keep your hands up. Turn around. Hands up, keep your hands up. Hands up, don't reach for your waist. Do not reach for your waist. Look at me, back up. Okay. Back up, back up, back up, back up. All right, go to your knees. Put your hands behind your back. Stay there, stay there, don't move. Isaiah? Isaiah? Stand up. Isaiah Chance, right?
Rashad Murphy. Considered one of the main trigger men, affiliated with the 1200 gang, which is closely associated with ADK gang. Jacksonville SWAT U.S. Marshals and the gang unit surrounded him at Collins Preserve Apartments. After hours of negotiation, he surrendered. Video footage placed him with the shooter's convoy in Tampa. His DNA was later matched to items recovered from a getaway vehicle.
And the kids, please, like, tell them stop recording. I'm talking about the broadcast. Come right now.
Davion Murphy, another primary gunman in the attack. On the run, after the July arrests, he disappeared, staying low in Jacksonville for months. In January 2025, SWAT, Marshals, and the gang unit tracked him to an apartment on LaBelle Street. He was taken alive after surveillance confirmed his location. Forensics linked him to one of the rifles used. Cell data and witness accounts also tied him to the convoy of cars that followed Foolio.
You'll be there in the morning. Watch your head. Actually, just hop back out. You got a handcuff key? Yeah.
Authorities revealed that the attack was a targeted, gang-related killing, stemming from the ongoing feud between 6 Block and its rivals. The legal proceedings began in late 2024. Alicia Andrews was set to be the first defendant to stand trial. However, jury selection was delayed due to unforeseen circumstances, pushing the trial to October 2025. The delay in the trial has been a point of contention. Some argue that it reflects the complexities of the case, while others believe it underscores the challenges in prosecuting gang-related crimes. Throughout the hearings, prosecutors presented evidence linking the defendants to the crime, including surveillance footage and testimonies. Defense attorneys, on the other hand, challenged the credibility of the evidence and questioned the motives behind the charges. Julio Foolio's death sent shockwaves through the Jacksonville community. Memorials were held in his honor, and discussions about gang violence and its impact on the youth gained prominence. Charges all 5 are facing. First-degree murder, premeditated. Florida law treats this as a capital felony. That means the maximum punishment is life in prison without parole, or in rare cases, the death penalty.
Well, Linda, today we learned that the state announced that it is considering the death penalty in this case, but a final decision has not been made yet on which of those defendants, if any, will be facing it.
Though prosecutors often choose life without parole for gang-related killings. Attempted first-degree murder for the 3 survivors wounded. Each count carries a life sentence possibility. Conspiracy to commit murder racketeering. Florida's RICO and conspiracy statutes can stack decades onto a sentence if prosecutors prove the murder was gang-organized. Firearm enhancements. Because rifles and handguns were used in a coordinated ambush, each suspect could face mandatory minimums of 25 years per firearm count, under Florida's 10-20 life law. What each suspect could expect if found guilty. Sean Gathright, age 18, youngest shooter. Being only 18, prosecutors might push life without parole rather than death penalty. But his gun evidence makes him one of the strongest links to the crime. Expectation: life in prison, possibly multiple stacked life sentences. Alicia Andrews, age 21, lookout. Since she didn't fire shots, her defense will argue she was only a watcher. But under Florida's felony murder rule, being part of the conspiracy equals same penalty as the shooters. Expectation: life sentence, though her lawyers might negotiate a plea deal to avoid life without parole. Isaiah Chance Jr., age 21, lookout. Same situation as Andrews. His cell phone data proves surveillance. Expectation: life sentence unless he flips and cooperates. Rashad Murphy, age 30, shooter, gang veteran. Already had a long criminal record tied to ATK 1200 gang. Prosecutors will treat him as a ringleader, increasing his exposure. Expectation: life without parole almost certain. Davion Murphy, age 27, shooter, fugitive. Being on the run for months hurts his defense. Evidence ties him directly to rifles used. Expectation: life sentence same as Rashad. Prosecutors may offer lesser sentences, like 25 to 40 years, if any suspect agrees to testify against the others. Lookouts, Andrews and Chance, are the most likely to flip since they weren't trigger pullers. The story of Julio Foolio is a tragic chapter in the ongoing saga of gang violence and its intersection with the music industry. As the legal proceedings continue, the hope remains that his death will serve as a catalyst for change, sparking conversations and actions that lead to a safer future for all.